Okay, basically in kinematics chapter, some quantities are already we know about them. For example, speed, velocity, distance, displacement, acceleration. So we already know about these quantities, right? So these quantities are just like the same that we already studied in IGCSE or O levels. So that remains same. Other than that, we also know about the graphical representations like speed time graph and distance time graph. So if you have any confusion in a speed time graph and distance time graph, the basic graph that we already studied in the previous course, so you let me know. Otherwise, we will continue with the new graphical representation in AS. So if you have any doubt, any confusion in a speed time or distance time graph, the basic representation that we solve in the previous course. Okay. So we know that just if we quickly revise the definition, so the difference between distance and displacement is that distance is the length of a path between 2 points. So that is called distance. And for displacement, displacement is the length of a path, or we can say it is the shortest length of a path, or we can also say displacement is the shortest distance between 2 points. Simple. Displacement is a vector quantity, distance is a scalar quantity. So this is the difference between distance and displacement. And for example, if we talk about the graphical representation of distance time graph, so in distance time graph, there are three basic representations. The three basic representations are, let's suppose a body is at rest state, or a body is moving with constant speed, or a body is moving with variable speed. So there are three different possibilities and there are three different graphical representations for distance time graph. So for example, if we mark the first one, so in distance time graph, we used to mention distance on y-axis, time on x-axis. So for example, in the first graph, if we talk about the body at rest state, so when body is at rest state, so definitely the position of the body is not changing, only the quantity of time is increasing. So let's suppose a body is placed at a certain distance, so body will remain at that distance and only the quantity of time is increasing because time is independent quantity. So distance is depending upon time, but time is not depending upon the distance. In the same way, if we talk about constant speed, so constant speed means when body covers equal distance in equal interval of time. So both quantities are increasing with equal rate with same rate. For example, in 1 second, a body covers 1 meter. So in the next second, body covers one more meter. So in this way, both quantities are increasing. And when both quantities are increasing equally, so that means both are directly proportional. And we got a straight line like this. So this is the graphical representation for the constant speed. But for variable speed, variable speed means there may be like any variation, like any irregular change in distance with respect to time. So that is called variable speed. So for example, if we consider this type of variation, so this is also possible. And there is one more type of variable like this. So these two variations are possible. So the first one represents the decreasing curve. The purple line represents decreasing curve or decreasing speed. And the second blue line represents increasing curve. So this is the difference between two types of variations. The purple line represents initially distance. The change in distance is very quick in short interval of time. But after some time, it starts to decline. So that's why it is called decreasing curve. And the blue curve line represents initially the change of distance with time is very slow. But after some time, it quickly boosts up and it starts to move in upward direction. So that's why it is called increasing curve or whatever the quantity given. So just like in this question, oh sorry, in this graphical representation, we are finding out the speed from distance time graph. So this is decreasing speed or increasing speed, right? So this is the concept of the distance time graph that we already discussed in the previous course. And one more thing in distance time graph, if they ask about the gradient of the graph, so the gradient of the graph is equals to, we know that gradient is equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So on y-axis, we have quantity of distance. On x-axis, we have quantity of time. So this will be change in distance divided by change in time. So the gradient of the graph always represents the speed. So if they ask about the gradient of the graph, so the gradient of distance time graph basically, so the gradient of distance time graph is equals to the speed of a body. Now, the next question, or the next representation of the graph is speed time graph. Now, in a speed time graph, just like the distance time graph, if we mark three different basic representations, so we have again three different representations. Only the difference is now we are marking up speed on y-axis, time remains on x. So basically, in a speed time graph, the first idea is about constant speed. So constant speed means we already have a speed given in the graphical representation. So the value of speed remains constant throughout the time. So for example, if we start with any value of the speed, so it will remain constant throughout the time, like this. And the second idea, constant speed also equals to zero acceleration, right? So when there is a zero acceleration, so that also means the same idea of constant speed. The next idea is about constant acceleration. So constant acceleration means equal change in velocity with equal interval of time. So again, both quantities are directly proportional, both quantities are changing equally. So there will be a straight line like this. So representation is same. Just like in distance time graph, we draw a directly proportional line. In the same way, in constant acceleration, we have a straight line, but quantities are different on x and y axis, right? And the third graphical representation, the same idea variable. So when we talk about the variable, the variable speed means decreasing curve or increasing curve. So basically, the purple is decreasing. So it means it is called deceleration, like negative acceleration, it is decreasing. So it is decreasing acceleration, and decreasing acceleration takes place when the speed with respect to the time decreases. For example, if we apply brake, so after the application of the brake, the speed of the body decreases, and that is called deceleration, right? Because the value of acceleration is not increasing, the value of is acceleration is decreasing. And the blue line represents the increasing curve, and that is called acceleration. So this is the basic graphical representation of distance time and speed time graph that we already studied in the O levels or IGCSE. And one more thing in a speed time graph, in a speed time graph, we can use the gradient and the area of the graph to find out two more unknown quantities. For example, as we already discussed that acceleration can be find out with the help of the gradient. So gradient will be equals to acceleration. So gradient of the speed time graph is equals to acceleration. And one more thing, yes, we can find out the acceleration with the help of the gradient of the graph. Because just like y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, so this time we have velocity on y-axis. So v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. So change of velocity with respect to time equals to acceleration. So gradient always gives you the value of acceleration from speed time graph. Because if we mark, let's suppose two values, for example, this is v1, t1, v2. So in this way, we can mark two quantities, and by using these two quantities, we can find out acceleration. And one more thing, in a speed time graph, from a speed time graph especially, not distance time, only speed time graph, if we find out the area under the curve, so if we talk about area under the curve, so in every graph, like for example, in physics or in science, if you are taking any type of graph, so you can always check for these two things in the graph. The first, gradient. So first of all, always check for the gradient, that are you getting any other quantity from the gradient of the graph? And the second quantity is area. So we can always check for these two quantities in any graphical representation, because maybe one of them will give you another quantity, and sometimes both of them will give you two new quantities, just like in a speed time graph. From gradient, we are getting acceleration, and from area under the curve, we will get distance. How? Basically, in area under the curve, if you consider a triangle or rectangle shape, whatever the shape, so let's suppose if we consider a rectangle shape, it will be equals to length into height or length into breadth, whatever we want to write the quantity. So we have time and velocity given on both axes. It is equals to distance, just like the formula S equals to VT. So from area under the curve, we can find out the distance, but this is only for speed time graph. In the same way, if we have right angle triangle, 1 over 2, so same half distance. And the third one is trapezium. This is the formula for trapezium. This method is only for velocity time graph, right? This is for speed time or velocity time graph, let's suppose. And for example, if you want to check for distance time graph, right? For example, if you want to check that on distance time graph, if we apply area under the curve idea over there, so is it possible to get any other quantity or not? So for example, if we apply this idea on distance time graph. So basically in distance time graph, we have distance on one axis, time on the other axis. So for example, if we consider any shape, so we got distance into time. So if you think about any quantity that is equals to the product of distance and time, so there is no quantity in kinematics that is equals to distance into time, right? Because we have formula of speed distance upon time, not distance into time. We have formula of acceleration velocity upon time. So it means this quantity is useless. So that's why we never calculate area under the curve from distance time graph, because it gives you a useless quantity, right? So it is not compulsory that always you will get some useful quantity from area under the curve. In some graphical representation, we got two useful quantities from two different ideas. And in some graphical representation, we will get only one from any one idea like area under the curve or the gradient of the graph, right? So right now we are only getting area under the curve from speed time graph, because in distance time graph we are getting a useless quantity that is not equal to any of the quantity in our kinematics, right? Right. So after this graphical representation, now if we consider some advanced graphical representation that is included in AS, because this is the previous one that we already know and this is the basic one. So let's suppose if we talk about the free fall motion basically, so when we drop uh, any object from a certain height, so definitely there are two possibilities. One possibility, if we consider that ball or that free fall without any air resistance, so there will be different type of graphical representation, because practically we have air resistance. But if we consider that there is no air resistance, so the graphical representation will be different. In the same way, if we add air resistance in the case, so we will get different type of representation, right? So for example, if we start with example number or case number one, so basically example number one means when we are talking about an object is released from rest, falls down, hits the ground and rebounds. So this is example number one that we are going to discuss, and there are some assumptions also. First of all, we are not taking any air resistance. So in the first case, Let's suppose there is no air resistance. No energy loss, and there is elastic collision. Elastic collision means there will be no loss of energy, no loss in momentum. So all quantities remains conserved. So this is the meaning of elastic collision in simple words. So let's suppose, first of all, if we draw a distance time graph for this specific scenario, and there is no air resistance. So this object is dropped from a height. So it strikes the ground and moves back in upward direction. And one more thing, just like the vertical axis, we consider the downward axis as the negative and the upward axis positive, right? Just like we used to draw on the graph paper, the vertical upward axis is positive, vertical downward axis is negative. So same we consider over here. And initial velocity definitely zero. So we are starting from zero. So for example, distance time graph. So when we drop from a certain height, so this is distance positive. This is the quantity of the time. So when we drop object from a certain height, so definitely that is the maximum height from where we drop the ball. And when we drop the ball, so there is no air resistance. So when there is no air resistance, so it falls smoothly in downward direction. Then it bounces back since there is no energy loss. So for example, no energy loss means if you fill 1 liter petrol in the car, and let's suppose that 1 liter will continue for the lifetime. So that means no energy loss. We are using 100% energy, like engine will not heat up. The 100% fuel is consumed in moving the car in forward direction. So that is called no energy loss. But in practical life, it not happens. Definitely there is some amount of loss form of energy, but right now we are not taking any energy loss. And elastic collision also, it means momentum, energy, both remains conserved. So there will be, it strikes the ground, then rise up, again strikes the ground, and again it tries to rise up. So the important thing to discuss over here is that the maximum height remains same. For example, if you drop the ball from 10 meter, so it will again reach the same height because there is no energy loss, right? So just for example, if value is 10 meters, for example, it will again reach 10 meter. Okay, so a graph is constant. Basically, we drop object from height and initially speed is zero. So when ball is moving towards the ground, so speed is increasing, right? Because initially we starts from rest and then speed is increasing. So there is increasing speed. Increasing speed means acceleration, right? So that's why this is a curve graphical representation, right? So in the first part, basically, this is a distance time graph, right? And when we are talking about distance time graph, and in this situation, we mention initial speed is zero, right? And if we talk about the final speed, so final speed will be greater than the initial one, right? It will not equals to zero. It means the value of speed or the value of velocity is changing, right? So when speed is changing, so the changing speed is called acceleration, right? So this curved line actually represents the graph of acceleration, right? This is not, these lines are not representing speed. These lines are representing acceleration basically, right? Because speed is not same, speed is changing. And in the last graphical representation, you observe when we have variable speed, so there will be a curve graphical representation, right? Either it will be increasing, either it will be decreasing. So when there is a variable speed, so we will get a curve graphical representation in distance time graph. Okay. So that's why we are getting this curve graphical representation. Okay. Any confusion now? Right. So this is not a speed. These lines are not representing speed. These lines are representing acceleration basically, or variable speed in other words. So first of all, this drop represents the fall of the body, and then the rise. This is the rise, and after reaching the maximum height, again it is the fall, and it will continue so on. So important thing is to remember, since there is no energy loss, so the height of the object remains the same. It will not change even after 10, 20, 30 bounces or whatever the number of bounces will be, because there is no change in uh energy remains same, so we are utilizing 100% of the energy. So this is ideal case, this is ideal situation. Practically this is not possible. This can be like considered in the case of gas particles, right? So when we are talking about micro level, so in micro level we consider that energy is 100% utilized or there is elastic collision. So we will discuss that in the chapter of momentum after this kinematic. And for example, if we want to draw from the negative side, so we can also draw from the negative side the mirror image of this graphical representation, right? So this is one type of representation. But for example, if there is energy loss, so if there is energy loss in the graphical representation or in this example number one, so if there is no air resistance, but there is energy loss and collision is inelastic collision. So then what will be the graphical representation? It will remain same or it will be different? Different, right? So how it is different? Let's see. So for example, if we consider the same example number one, but with different scenario case. So now this is case B. No air resistance, but this time there is a loss of energy. Collision is inelastic. It means kinetic energy and momentum this time is not conserved in this case. In the previous case, it is conserved, but right now, kinetic energy and momentum is not conserved because we have inelastic collision. Just like if you drop a snooker ball or if you drop a hard ball from a certain height, so that is called inelastic collision. And the collision between the gas particles, we consider them like elastic collision. So let's suppose if we again drop an object from the same height, just like we dropped from the last case. So for example, this is the maximum height and we drop from 10 meter, it strikes the ground. So basically in this graphical representation, we observe that the peak of the graph is continuously decreasing because of loss of energy, right? So because of loss of energy, we got different height every time. Like this is no more 10 meters, this will be new height. In the same way, this is a new height again, H2. So this is the graphical representation for the body when there is inelastic collision or when there is a loss of energy. And this is practical example because practically when you drop the ball, so that happens like this. Continuously bounce decreases and eventually it comes into the rest state, right? So this is the real life case and the first one is an ideal case. So any question, any confusion in this? Right. So we are getting different height every time after the collision of the ball with the ground. And one more thing, this is the first collision. This is second collision. In the same way, first, second, third collisions, and we have different height after every collision. First collision, second collision, and so on. So this is the graphical representation with distance time graph. But for suppose if we shift now towards the speed time graph, so graphical representation will be different. So same case, like same example, when we drop the object from a certain height and hits the ground and rebounds. So same case, but means same example, but different case. Now the case is we are going to work with a speed time graph this time. So this is a completely different idea. No air resistance. Elastic collision. And one more thing, no collision time. No collision time means when a ball hits the ground, so it changed the direction to rebound. So that rebound takes place quickly. Suddenly there will be like no delay in it. So that is called no collision time, right? For example, you throw a ball towards the wall, it hits the wall and come back in the same time duration. There will be no delay in the time, right? And right now we are going to work with speed time graph. This time we are not working with distance time graph. So now we will mark both axis, positive and negative axis this time. So this is the graphical representation given. On y-axis, we have a quantity of speed or velocity given. And on x-axis, time given. And in the bottom axis, we have negative speed, like opposite direction. Negative means opposite direction. So in this graphical representation, for example, if we drop a ball, so now just like you mentioned for the last graphical representation that it must be a straight line or it must be a constant line. So this time we have a speed time graph. So now we are going to use that straight line idea. So for example, again, if we consider maximum height, if we drop from the same height, 10 meter, let's suppose, so it will remains 10 meter throughout the graphical representation. So height remains same. So for example, if we start to draw the graphical representation, so first of all, it takes some time to reach the ground like this. And just like we mark 10 meter positive on the positive axis, so it will be same on the other axis with minus 10 meter. So we need to cover the same height on the other side, like the opposite direction of the velocity. So when it reaches the maximum height, so there is no collision time. So when there is no collision time, so on the same time it reaches this direction, right? So this is the concept of no collision time, no delay. So when it hits the ground, so over here we are getting first collision. This point represents first collision because previous graph is distance time graph. So we are starting from maximum height. So that's why it is started from the maximum point and it reaches the minimum point. But now we have a speed time graph. In a speed time graph, definitely we starts from zero because when we drop object, so initially the speed of the body is zero, then it starts to increase continuously. So in the same way, speed of the body is increasing. Basically, negative means, let's suppose if you throw ball in vertical upward direction, right? So in that case, we can start from the negative. So it depends upon the scenario. Because when it is moving in downward direction, so it is moving, or we can say velocity is increasing. And when it bounces back, so it is moving in the opposite direction, just like it hits the ground in the first case. So negative sign basically represents the opposite scenario or the opposite direction. Simple, right? So you can also consider downward motion as negative, upward as positive. So then your graphical representation will be shuffled, right? So it depends upon the observation or assumption, that from which assumptions we are working on. So initially we already marked that we consider downward axis negative, upward axis positive. So we will continue with the same representation, right? And there is no collision time. So when it collide, or when it got the first collision, so quickly it changes the axis, and this is rebound. So now it rebounds in the opposite direction. So first it is moving in downward direction, it hits the ground. We mark the positive gradient in the graph. Now it rebounds. And when it rebounds, so now it is moving in opposite direction. During the fall, it moves in downward direction, and during the rise, it moves in opposite direction of the fall. So it will reach the same height again after some time, like this. And now after the second bounce again, without any delay, it again starts to rebound. And this is second collision. And in the same way, this graphical representation will continue so on, because there is no energy loss. So it will remains at the same height always. And one more thing to mention, that the first region, this region represents the fall, and this one represents the rise. And if we talk about the maximum height, so in this graphical representation, where do you think that at what point we can mark the maximum height in the graph? So to find out the maximum height, again, if you like think about the ball, when you drop the ball from a height. So for example, if we drop a ball from a height, so it moves in downward direction, it hits the ground, and then it rebounds like this. So after the first collision, when it rebounds, so in our graphical representation, first it falls, then rebounds. So after rebound, it reaches the maximum height again. So this is the point where we started from the maximum height. Speed is zero, And this is the point where we have maximum height. So after the same time interval, this point represents the maximum height again, right? Because after the rise of the ball, it reaches again the maximum height. So fall, then rise. So after rise, the same point from the ball drops, we will get the maximum height at the same point. Okay? Any confusion in this? So this is the graphical representation related to the distance time graph and speed time graph with air resistance idea. And in kinematics, we will also discuss about the projectile motion. In projectile motion, we have like a curved motion, and in whole kinematics, we always consider air resistance negligible, right? In 99% cases, you will get air resistance negligible. But let's suppose in some question, theoretically or conceptually, if they ask to just describe that what happens if air resistance present, they will not ask you to calculate anything when air resistance is present, right? So in next class, we will discuss the same graphical representation with inelastic collision, right? So you can also draw by yourself that when there is inelastic collision and when there is a collision time. So what will be the graphical representation? And after that, we will start the derivations of equation of motion and then projectile motion, right?